Ticino, Switzerland's southernmost canton, boasts rugged mountains and Mediterranean flair. It's a region of contrasts and beauty. In the Ticino hinterland, not far from Lake Maggiore, isolated mountain forests dominate the landscape. During the 19th century, poverty drove many farmers away from the region. Nature didn't miss the humans. Untamed, a primeval forest flourished in the mountains. There's a sound typical of Ticino, the roaring of waterfalls. Some only occur in spring, carrying snowmelt. Others can be admired year-round, like the Foroglio waterfall at Val Piora, cascading over 100 meters into the depths below. The eponymous village of Foroglio is made up of traditional Ticino rusticos, simple stone buildings. It's one of 12 little hamlets in the Val Piora, a valley inhabited only in summer. The last farmers already left here in the 15th century. Even today, they return only in the warm months to put their cattle to pasture. Only one of the villages has electricity. The others use gas, petroleum, and solar panels when necessary. But there's enough energy for everyone. Half of Switzerland's power is hydroelectric. Lago Ritom, originally a glacial lake, was dammed over 100 years ago especially for the purpose. Countless streams carry the water down from the mountains, keeping the lake full. Lago Ritom is one of 28 mountain lakes on the Val Piora, Ticino's largest high plateau. At over 2,000 meters above sea level, almost all alpine plant species are found here in unique variety. A sea of flowers, white St. Bruno's lily, or alpine anemone. Especially in summer, the fields are a richly colored, nutritious paradise for insects and butterflies. Ants are also fond of sweet plant calyxes. They gather nectar from the ovaries of gentians, pollinating them as they do so. The common house leek, or hens and chicks, is often grown in gardens. It's undemanding and easy to grow. A Roman superstition held that it protected buildings against lightning strikes. One reason behind the biodiversity of the Piora Valley is its special geological location. The alternating crystalline and calcareous rock provide ideal fertile ground for plants and, in turn, food and protection for animals. Near the timberline of the mountain forests, Swiss stone pines, larch and spruce trees thrive side by side. across the valley, the first peaks of the Ticino Alps can be seen thrusting into the sky. Up here, spring is icy. At almost 3,000 meters, temperatures stay below freezing for a long time. But even in this apparently eternal winter, the power of the sun melts the mighty Alpine snow masses, replenishing streams, waterfalls, and glacial lakes. It's the start of the season for the Alpine snowbell, the first flower to appear in snow-free spots. The Alpine primrose has its own padded nest that protects it from the cold and supplies it with moisture. Only plants that our adaptation specialists grow up here, like the gentian or the Alpine anemone. The Alps are the heart of Switzerland. Their massive, steep slopes seem invincible. This rugged terrain suits the Ibex perfectly. This goat is licking salt from the rocks. Like many herbivores, Ibexes need plenty of minerals to grow and flourish. But anyone believing they're in an isolated mountain world is wrong. This is the Gotthard Pass, the main portal to Ticino. For centuries, crossing the Alps was strenuous. By stagecoach, it would take around 50 hours to get from Basel to Ticino. With the construction of the railway tunnel, a link was finally created to the rest of the country and the modern era. And today, the new Gotthard base tunnel allows an even faster journey to the south. The old Gotthard Pass, the Tremula, is today a heritage site and still popular with tourists who prefer to enjoy the view rather than arrive quickly. The Gotthard Massif keeps the cold northern air at bay, but rain clouds from the south must release their moisture here before crossing over the Alps. This makes Ticino one of Switzerland's wettest cantons. It rains twice as much here as in Zurich. A spot of bad weather can't put the marmots off their main occupation, eating. They ingest their fluid requirements together with their food. They find just what they need in the juicy lower stalks of thistles, and they're not so prickly. Marmots are highly social creatures living in groups of up to 20. They greet each other by rubbing noses and can tell by the other's scent whether they're related. Play fighting happens in the best of families. South of the Gotthard Massif lies the Blanio Valley, the so-called Valley of the Sun, because the sun shines down here unobstructed. The area is famous for its chestnut trees. For a long time, they were Ticino's most important tree. Their fruit provided food for animals and humans, and the wood was used for building and fuel. Even wine grows in the Blanio Valley, but the main growing region for fine wines is the south of Ticino. The Sottoceneri is especially renowned for its vineyards. This is the famous sunny spot of Ticino. It covers the area around Lugano, as well as the southern valleys of the Mendrisiotto. Lake Lugano is the region's main attraction. It was formed during the Ice Age by the meeting of two glaciers. When they melted, a typically fork-shaped lake was created. Along the banks, picturesque villages cling to the hillsides. One of these is Marmot, formerly an important trading port between Switzerland and Italy. The lake is still a trading hub. The city of Lugano has become Switzerland's third largest financial center. Hardly surprising with all the coming and going. Behind the wooded mountains, all traces of hustle and bustle fall away. Here in the southernmost part of Switzerland lies one of its most uncharted spots, the Mugio Valley. Gnarled old beech trees form a dense forest. For some, however, it isn't the magnificent trees that are the attraction, but the dead wood. Dead beech trees form the basis of existence of one of Europe's rarest beetles, the longhorn beetle. Apart from its conspicuous blue color, the beetle's main feature is its long, hairy feelers. In the males, these antennae are longer than their entire bodies. They are its most important orientation instruments. These sensitive organs of touch and smell need careful looking after. When two males meet, they immediately start a duel. Only the winner may mate with a female, and that is their sole purpose in life. The difference in size between the genders is sometimes quite striking, though it poses no obstacle to their mating. The female carries the male around as a piggyback passenger. It's a practical way for him to ensure that no one else can steal his bride. The search for a suitable spot to lay her eggs is the female's job. She only deposits the individual eggs in the cracks of dead wood, preferably beech. The life expectancy of the European longhorn beetle is only a few weeks. The larvae, on the other hand, take up to 4 years to develop into fully formed beetles, which means their survival relies even more on the dead wood staying where it is. The European longhorn beetle has existed since the Ice Age. Another witness of this era is the Monte Generoso. During the Ice Age, the mountain was a so-called nunatak, a peak sticking out of the thick ice shield. Like a kind of Noah's Ark, it enabled animals and plants here to survive the Ice Age. Some plants still grow here, like this variety of wild peony. It's extremely rare and is only still found in a few places in Switzerland. In May and June, it blooms in full splendor. With a little luck, one might encounter a very unusual wild creature on Monte Generoso. A herd of Haflinger, run wild, lives up here. These horses know no saddle, bridle or bit. Since the death of their owner, a reclusive mountain farmer, they have wandered unnoticed across the meadows of Monte Generoso until the harsh winter of 2008, when hunger drove them into the valley. The villagers were none too pleased when wild horses suddenly descended on their fields, gardens, and even cemeteries and ate everything in sight. The demands rang out: capture or shoot. But animal conservationists fought for the wild Haflinger's freedom. Since then, the horses are captured and kept indoors in winter and released again in summer. Today, the herd numbers 25. Haflinger are robust and undemanding as long as they have enough to eat, and that's how they ensure that the meadows don't become overgrown. Although these animals are not truly wild, they're allowed to retain their untamed nature and enjoy their summers of freedom to the limit. High above the peaks, Alpine and common swifts gather. From up here, the view stretches to the last foothills of the Alps. Of a pristine, natural landscape off the beaten track, here in the mountains of Ticino.